So let's take some time now to look at the 6 pillars of product operations, at least what the ones that I've kind of termed these as. You can read all about this. There's a open post on my newsletter. Actually, this is actually directly taken from that newsletter. So what are these 6? The first is, in no particular order, I should say, strategic support. So product operations teams facilitate the product management function. The teams, the squads, the tribes in the production and maintenance of the product strategy. We do this by ensuring effective, reliable communication, providing the necessary tools and resources, and facilitating cross-functional collaboration to build, publish, and execute on a plan. What does all of that mean? Basically, making sure that there is a strategy and that it all comes together. Product operations doesn't care what that strategy is. It's a bit flippant of me to say, and not everybody agrees with it. I don't care what we build. I care that we are building something, that we are building the most valuable thing that we could with the direction that we've got, the travel, the resources we've got, the people that we've got, the business where it is. And have they got access to firstly, all of the information to make that decision and all of the resources to execute on that? Pull people together in a room, they have those discussions. Whatever they decide, if they've done all of those things, if they've used all of the research, used all of the data, they have put it all together, it's a robust plan, and they're all comfortable with it in that room, great. It's not for me to decide one way or the other whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. They have done the best job that they could do, and I've done my job by making sure they've got access to everything they could possibly need to make that decision. So that's where that strategic support comes in. Just an addendum to that as well, and I've said this before. Predominantly, product management is there. Product operations is there to support product managers, engineers, those people on the ground, those people doing those tasks at the very end of the tree of the leaves that actually deliver the value. But they're also there. We are also there to support leadership as well in their jobs. Leadership have just as important a job as anybody in terms of dealing with the C-suite, dealing with the board, evangelizing the product, the line management of potentially a very large organization, planning across a large business across other divisions as well. That's a full-time job. And those primary tasks, if you remember what I was saying earlier, are those things. So what are the maintenance areas, the logistical things that take our leaders away from those primary tasks? That is also where product operations can help and support. And it's so important to be making sure that we're looking at leadership and their needs as much as the people on the ground. Number 2, business alignment. Product operations are not only concerned with supporting the product and technology function, but are there to enable the entire business with what they need from the product team, so that they can go and sell the product, support it, market it. We support the entire business through the lens of product manager, of product. What does this mean in practice? We understand what those people need. Do they need to see our product updates? Do they need to see our roadmap? Do they need to attend demos? Do they need to be able to submit their feedback? And how do they do that? Do they need a support desk into our support teams to log bugs and queries and things like that? I mean, the answer to all of that is yes, they do. And we want that to be as fantastic a process and an experience as possible. They are also our customers. They are the customers in part to product, and so they are also product operations customers. We're there to help facilitate their efforts when it comes to the product and the things that the product team are producing. We're not so involved in, okay, well, what do the sales team need when it comes to finance? Sales team needs to come to marketing. There are other ops teams to do that have a similar focus and a lens. But what am I getting at here? We're not just saying we're going to make the product division super duper efficient and bugger the rest of the company. They can wallow in inefficiencies. No. In fact, actually, it's quite often the opposite. We quite often will want to make the rest of the business more efficient, potentially by product doing a bit more, as I said earlier, because the net impact is a positive one. There's a net positive impact on the business as a whole. You hear this term, what's best for business? That is absolutely true here as well. Number 3, I will say, we'll have another Slido in a moment, so forgive me, I'm wittering on through some of this. Number 3, data-informed decision making. Data, yeah, it's everywhere. There's so much of it in everywhere and in business in particular. Every business is or should be or will be on the journey to saying, hey, we need to be doing more with our data. We need it to help our decision-making process. Many of you will have probably termed this or heard this as termed as data-driven decision-making. I personally don't like that. I don't agree with that. It's to be data-informed in your decision-making process. Because we don't want to be totally driven by that. We don't want to say, well, the data is telling us this, so we do this. The data is one element, one resource, one source of truth that we want to use to help us make the right decisions, as well as experience, as well as customer feedback and voice of the customer and other research elements. They don't always align. Particularly when you're looking at, the data and our customers, this is the trend that they're doing. But do you know what? We just know the market is about to pivot. Helios, which I didn't mention earlier, is a medical organization. We produce and sell medications, particularly in the weight loss area. This is a highly contentious area, particularly in terms of kind of media coverage, the side effects, is it the right thing to do, the cost of it, the impact, blah, 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 blah. Data's not telling us any of this, but we know the media trends. We know legislative changes that are coming in. We know rules across different countries. And we have to act based upon what the trends are telling us, but also what we just know and research and the things the computers can't tell us. So we need to be data informed. I'll get down off my soapbox on that particular point now, but product operations teams leverage and provide data and analysis to inform decisions, to identify trends, to uncover insights, to drive improvement, guide the strategy, etc., etc. We also make sure that there are the right KPIs in place, that these are tracked, that these are measured consistently across the teams. So there's 2 things here. Firstly, it's the data that the product teams need in terms of who's using the platform, how much, where, what the customer trends are, what our sales trends are, etc., etc. They use all of that to help make their decisions moving forwards. Once again, we don't make the decisions, we don't do the analysis, But what we will do is we will provide or make sure there is provision of dashboards, spreadsheets, things like that. Why? Because the product managers are doing their job. They're doing their product managing things. They don't need to then worry and think about, well, I need to go and work out how to create a dashboard, what dashboards to go and create, where this is going to, what platforms are we going to use? Where do I get the data from? How do I build all of these charts? Or even if I know all of that, I've then got to go and build all of these dashboards. What we want is those dashboards to be there and ready and available and updated for exactly what they need. So they can come in, use it as a tool, do their analysis, see the trends, make their decision. So product operations will invariably be involved in either creating or managing the creation of all the dashboards that those product teams will need. This will be in things like Power BI, Google Looker, Amplitude, Tableau, platforms like that. Having skills in that area is also very useful to have. But the second point as well is about key performance indicators, KPIs, OKRs as well. This is about their tracking of quite often their own performance as a team in terms of their objectives or the key indicators that their individual team and squads and things like that are tasked with improving. Once again, we don't want them to build all of this stuff in terms of a tracking mechanism. We just want them to have access to it. But we also want to make sure that they are tracking these results. So product operations professionals will quite often be the people that are beating with the stick to say, "Hey, have you done your updates for your KPIs yet? Have you done your OKR updates? You haven't? Well, look, you need to get on and do this. Have you analysed it? Have you looked at it? Is there a trend appearing? Do you need to make some adjustments? Do you need some intervention? Oh, sorry, do you need to make an intervention to to change this trend that's happening? There's no point having these KPIs. There's no point having OKRs if you're not even going to look at them and you're not going to potentially take action from them. So also product operations will invariably be involved in the logistics of the creation and the maintenance of those metrics. Once again, fundamentally don't care what they are. Yes, we will care from a background perspective that, okay, is a trend good or is a trend bad? But the decisions that come out of that, again, are for the product manager, product leadership to make. What we are there to is to say, are you making a decision? Are you reviewing it? If you are, great. Fundamentally, my job's done. Number 4, communication. Oh, we're back to communication again. My favorite topic. We are here to ensure that the product teams in particular are communicating clearly, efficiently, and regularly with stakeholders and the whole business, to be fair, with information and updates that have value. So we're not back to this. We've removed 4,000 lines of code and it's improved something for 2 seconds and nobody in the business cares about it. They have to have value, particularly to the audience, something that they can use, something that they're interested in, something that they can say, hey, you've moved the needle. You've made a difference in the business this week, this month. And it can be easily consumed and also reused in their own roles. Again, as we said earlier, having something that I can take away and I know that there's value here and I can go and give this to my customers. I can go and put this on a website. I can put this in a newsletter. We provide communication guidance that focuses on delivering that value to the right audience at the right time with the right level of information. This is something that I call audience-led communication. So when we are writing our product updates, again, lots of product managers on this in this session, when we are writing our product updates, we want to be aware of who's reading it. There's a difference between what the audience needs to hear and what we want to tell them, and they're not the same thing. We need to be focusing more on what the audience needs and wants to hear and what they consume, not with lots of techie speak, with a big slant towards what was the value. How does this help our retention? How does this help our sales? How does this help X customer in X situation do X, Y, and Z that they couldn't do before? What problems does it solve? Communication obviously is also looking at the feedback routes that we have, so that there are routes for providing suggestions, feedback, feature requests, bug requests, bug notifications, things like that. And also those things are reviewed. So this all encompasses processes to say, hey, product managers, every 2 weeks, go and look at the feedback queue, look at what's in there, and talk to those customers, talk to those staff members that have submitted these things. Give them a response. The absolute worst thing that was happening when I was at Cobalt was all of these ideas were coming in. No one was responding to it. So how do our staff know that it's even been looked at? And very quickly they stop bothering because they know nobody's looking at it. And occasionally an idea that did come in was actually then developed and went out the door, and nobody knew about it anyway. So we need to make sure that we are having that two-way communication. And product operations puts in place cadences and processes to say, look, this is what you are going to do on this cadence. Every 2 weeks, review this as a team, see what you do want to take forward, see what ones you don't want to take forward, and in either case, tell people. Iterative improvement. This is fundamentally a way that we approach everything that we do, which is reiterate. Just like in product management as well, we don't build this super duper highly complex, highly curated way of working and spend 6 months building it and then put it out the door. We put versions out. We put an MVP out in some cases, say, hey, this is solving a problem right now. We'll improve on it over time, but here it is right now. Let's get the feedback. Is this working? What do we need to tweak? It's a very collaborative process in many cases about new ways of working. To say, hey, is this working for you? Yes, it's working over there. It's not quite working over here. Okay, fantastic. What do we need to tweak to make that suit more people, everybody? And then finally, cross-functional collaboration. Working together across the teams, the squads, the product division as a whole, and also the wider business. Product operations fosters that open communication. It facilitates the building of trust by making sure that people are working together, prompting them to work together, and fundamentally being respectful, understanding what each side needs, just facilitating that alignment across different teams. Product management, engineering, design, marketing, and then the wider business. Ultimately making sure everybody understands and is aligned to what goals we're all working on. Helios right now has a little bit of a problem, not a fundamental one, but a little bit of a problem with that right now. We're not always perfectly aligned on what the senior leadership is understanding and what the product teams are working on. And we're working on that right now. There's no big fault in any of that. It's a very, very fast moving business, but there's a bit of a breakdown. There's a little bit of a chasm and gap, a field size gap between what product know and understand and what is expected or is in the minds of senior leadership. And we need to close that gap. We need to make sure that actually both sides are understanding more of what each other is asking for and what each other is doing. And we're doing that by making more information available, by making sure that there are regular meetings where these things, the strategy and objectives of what is being worked on right now is being shared, is being vocalized. And we have a sign-off process that says from the senior leadership, say, hey, you okay with this? You know, put your mark down. Because do you know what as well? Put your mark down because we want to make sure and almost evidence to say that you were okay with this. You're not going to come back in a few weeks and say, I didn't know anything about that. You did know. So there is a shared understanding there as well.